I'm Draco Self-Important, and I think you should listen to me. And we're on to part 4, I think, of the ex-wife saga. Um, so, at this point, we're still doing the poly thing. She's still seeing this woman that went, yeah, that, like, I knew that it was the beginning of the end. I had stopped seeing the uh, dude that I was seeing when we were separated, and started seeing the dude from the previous story, the person who caused all the drama with the my being racist against white people and all. Um, so still funny. Um, Jesus. So the relationship after we got back together after the forced separation by the courts was strained. Um, it like there was not a point that I could have an emotion, and I really genuinely felt like she would push my buttons until I would get loud and then be like, "You're so angry." Like, I felt like she was trying to blow shit up. I felt like she was looking for an out. The problem was, uh, like, at this point, she'd started working again, but she was working in fast food, and so, like, did not have enough money to, like, go out and, like, get an apartment or whatever. At least she didn't think she could. And, it's like, I realized that my mental health was not good. I was like, if we're gonna make this work, I can't be like, I can't work on myself, let alone can I be like with someone else. And so I temporarily, it turns out, although at that point I thought permanently, because we didn't pick things back up until my marriage had dissolved. I broke it off with my partner. I was like, hey, we'd made the deal from the beginning that if shit went south, we could, like, close off the marriage, work on it, reassess. And they understood that because they also were married. And, like, I think that if their wife had been like, hey, that, they probably would have, you know, their wife, however, would have had to stop constantly doing it to other dudes to close off the marriage, and I don't think she'd have ever done that. Actually, I don't know. Did she actually sleep with people or just talk to them and get their attention? I don't know. I think, honestly, when her husband, like, actually had someone else, like, on a regular basis who was enthusiastically sleeping with them, she was not excited about it. She was like, "Oh, no, I tell him he's fat and ugly all the time. Why are you attracted to them?" And I'm like, "Because he's attractive, friend. That's why you married him to begin with, I assume." I don't know. I digress. Um, so I'm like, "Hey, let's shut this shit back down. Let's focus on the marriage." And she literally, like, because the way that I presented this was I broke it off with, meh, meh, meh. Um, and she was like, "You didn't talk to me first?" And I'm like, "I have to talk to you before I break up with someone now? Like, that's where we're at?" She was like, "Oh, well, no, I mean, I guess." And I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, I guess, like, that's fucking ridiculous." Um, I'm like, we said from the beginning that if shit went south, we could close it down. Well, here we are. Shit is going south. Like, I am not well. This is not good. Like, I'm literally, hi, hello, I should be hospitalized. This is not going well. Hello, hello. Um, and, like, there was one point that I was, like, walking away from the house, like, so, like, oh my God, I'm just gonna go, like, I'm gonna go do some shit, like, it was not good. I reached out to her while I was doing this, and, like, she talked me down, and I came home, and, like, because throughout our relationship, and this is my belief, I cannot prove, but throughout our relationship, she threatened multiple times to kill herself, and I don't think that that was actually her intention. Because when I would be like, hello, I am suicidal, she didn't take it seriously and or literally did not care. Like, because either she thought that I was lying, which leads me to believe that all the times that she said she was suicidal, she was lying, because otherwise why would she presume that I was? Or she just literally did not care if I died. Now, let's pause on that second half, because I feel like it might be a little mix. So, my mental health just continued to spiral. I'm going to my appointments, I'm getting my meds, I'm doing everything that I can, but it's like I'm also dealing with a relationship with someone who is like totally not actually interested in making it work. I remember like it was the day that I was like, God, I can't remember. There was a really short time period before like the last day of our marriage, that like my mental health just spiraled into oblivion, and I was just like looking for any fucking straw of anything to grasp onto. Um, and I remember like trying to explain something to her after my like my being suicidal that I just referred to, not the end bit, but the first time that I literally was like, I'm like, this is woo, and I was like walking away from the house and she talked me down, and then later that night I was trying to like explain myself and explain what was going on, and I kept like starting to explain and she would cut me off, and I would start and she would cut me off. um, and she was sitting on the bed on one side of the room, and I'm on the couch on the other, and I've got a glass bong in my hand. And like, I keep trying to explain myself, and she keeps cutting me off, and I'm just crying, and I'm like yelling, and I'm like, I'm looking at her, tears and snot just streaming down my face, and I'm like, please, please, just let me get the sentence out. I just need you to hear me out. I just need you to hear my complete thought. Like, please, I am begging you, please. And she goes, okay. And I get 2 words out, and she opens her fucking mouth. And so my brain fucking snaps, and the bong goes on the fucking ground. Literally, it could have been anything in my hand. This is the problem, is that I wasn't, I was just like, like, I just needed, like, and now mind you, I threw it at the ground, not her, not anyone, not anything, just, had it been a remote control or a glass or fucking anything, but, unfortunately, it was glass, and so it went fucking everywhere, and so, yeah, that's fucking horrifying for everyone involved, so, like, whoopsie poodle, but, like, dude, like, I just having dealt with people in that state, like, just the complete fucking lack of empathy leads me to believe that she was never serious. Because it's like, I have talked people down from some ledges, bro. Like, so there's one day that, like, my brain is breaking. Like, just fully fucking just, like, no. And I'm like, I'm not okay. And she's like, call your brother. He was not my brother at this point, but, yeah. And I'm like, hasn't he done enough? And so she makes no other suggestions. At this point, I was on good terms with the second husband. I was on reasonable terms with my mother. I, like, my partner uh like totally would have been there, and she knew that, like, despite the fact that we broke it off like days ago. We broke it off because I was trying to get my marriage together and trying to get my life together, not because, like, like, totally would have shown up. Like, there were at least a half dozen people that she could have reached out to, and I kept saying to her, I am not okay. I am not okay. And so as she's leaving to go to work at like 9 o'clock at night to work a night shift at a fast food job, I, as she's leaving, and, like, we normally, like, would kiss goodbye or whatever, I look her dead in the eye and I go, I am not okay. Do you understand what that means? And she goes, I'll see if so and so can cover me. And she leaves. Now, this is the point where, when people start to say that I'm delusional about things that, like, I'm absolutely not delusional about, I'm like, no, 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 no. I know what delusion looks like. Because, honestly, this is where I get into also as well but do I, or is this really what happened? I fully thought that's what she wanted me to do, because she left and we're, like, talking, we're texting, and I'm like, I'm not good, and I'm like, she asks me if I'm safe, and I say I'm gonna go lay down. And she keeps asking me, and I'm not answering her because I wasn't going to lie to her, but I also, it was a lie by omission, but my not answering her was the answer, essentially. And she knew this. And I know that she knew this because later, in a court case that we'll get to, she submitted some heavily redacted text messages she was having with her partner that we had spoken of previously, where even the parts that she submitted that I got to see, her partner was going, well, like, are you not going to check? Like, maybe suggest that, like, he hangs out with the cats, or, like, maybe, like, trying to be, like, a helpful, nice human being. So, I, take way more of a prescription than I should have. And luckily, I did not have alcohol in the house, because apparently that was the magic bullet to go with that particular prescription that would have done the job. But I was like, I'm going to go lay down, and then laid down and went to, like, I was out. Like, it was definitely, like, it was not necessarily a life-threatening overdose, but it was an overdose. Like, I definitely was, well, it probably, like, I've done a lot of shit to my body, and it can take a lot of shit, so, like, I handled it overdose, basically, like, because we'll get to, how I felt after. Um, so I put on my comfort show, and I lay down, and then I wake up a couple of hours after losing contact with this woman who knows that I am suicidal. Sidebar, 2 of my 3 children were with their other father. Where do you think the baby was? In the bedroom. And my delusional ass is like, well, unless the whole building burns down, she's gonna be fine. She sleeps through the night, and clearly my wife knows exactly what's going on and exactly what I'm doing, so she must have thought this through as well. This must be the plan. Because I thought that I was giving her life insurance and Social Security income. Because I, like, looked it up, and I'm like, oh, well, if I die, like, because of all the, like, she'll get enough Social Security income to cover her and the kids. It'll be fine. Like, that's how suicidal I was. I was looking up the fucking death benefits to make sure that they could live without me. I did not tell her this. That's just a thing that I did. So unless she was spying on my internet history, like, that was just a thing that I did for my own security. Like, I wasn't like, and also, if I do die, like, it's not a thing we planned together. So, like, you know, my idea that she thought that I should do it could be entirely in my head, except that she waited hours after losing contact with me before she called 911. And then she calls 911, and then she shows up, and she waits for her partner to show up with her. And then I hear her come in and yell until I respond. And then I thought she was with a cop. Apparently, she was with an EMT, according to her. I do not know which. Regardless, they knew that I had overdosed, and they were like, "Do you want an ambulance?" And I said, "Yes, please make me pay to ruin my fucking life. No, I don't want an ambulance. Get the fuck out so I can finish the job." And they did. Like, yeah. I let my wife come in and take the baby because obviously I was in no condition to take care of her. And meanwhile, while all this shit is going down, I hear my ex-wife's partner talking to the cops, telling the cops that all this shit has just happened in the last 2 years and blah, blah, blah. Because the story that my ex-wife is telling is the story from the point of the shit that happened in the parking lot and nothing before that, and absolutely no context at all of any of the previous, like, fucking 6 years of our relationship, of our, like, 9-year relationship, like 6.5 years. Like, none of that gets told. No, the problem started with my reaction. I learned the term reactionary abuse later, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure. Listen, man, I feel like this is a little baby version of like a Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing, in that I am not the perfect victim. I definitely, like, hello, you just heard the story I told of the shit that I did. That's not cute. That's not ideal. That's not a thing that, like, it's not something that I'm proud of. It's not something that, like, if I had it to do over, I would, like, you know, but, like, man, oh daisies. Don't tell people you want to off yourself if you don't. And if someone tells you that, take them seriously. And if we both, and by both I mean everyone, just, you know, abide by those two things, then I think we'll all be better off, because then we'll know that when people are saying it, that they mean it, and then we can treat it seriously. And then and like, the assumption that people are doing it as a manipulation should, and like, that's, I think, is the problem, is that I never assumed that, and I just got, yeah, I just got hosed, because then I assumed that that wouldn't be assumed of me either, because I trusted, and so, like, why would I not? Because, like, why would someone lie about that? But apparently, I guess, I don't know. It's really just me justifying it, because it's like, I can either be like, oh, she didn't take me seriously, or I can think she absolutely did take me seriously and left a gap of 2 to 3 hours where she lost contact with me before she called 911 in order to let me die, and she waited for the cops because she thought she was showing up to a body. So what do I want to believe? That she didn't take me seriously? I don't win no matter what. Because I begged for help. She called no one and literally left me for hours to die. Like, so in the process of this, before I even, wait, pause, they leave. I fully go try to fucking slit my wrist. I still have scars. I'm a dumbass. I didn't have any actual razor blades. Disposable razors don't work. I'm really bad at killing myself. Hi, hello, that's why we're having this conversation at all. So, once I realize that that's not going to work, the adrenaline starts to wear off, and the drugs start to kick back in, and I start to, like, lose the ability to, like, function. So I go climb the fucking bed, and I am, like, out. So then my alarm goes off. Because this is a work night. Not only is this a work night, this is supposed to be the morning where I have the first meeting with my attorney for that lawsuit with the Satanic Temple. Hey, do you think that might have had something to do with the straw that broke the camel's back? Do you? Do you? Do you? But, you know, it's not as if I didn't have other issues that they absolutely knew about because I disclosed that to them at every step of the way, and they knew that I was vulnerable. Nope, not at all. So, before I even woke up in the morning, I think the timestamp on the paperwork was like 5 a.m., there was an emergency no contact order so that I couldn't see my kid. And then she proceeded to not respond to anything. Like, the no contact order involved me still having to pay her phone bill because we were on a joint phone plan. And there was a date on it, of course. And so, in preparation for this, I gather up the police report from the previous incident, and I lay out the whole story that I have told all of you. Now, mind you, before we started any testimony, the judge made very clear whose side she was on, right? She's like saying to my wife, if at any point you feel uncomfortable or you need a break, you just let me know, blah, 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 blah. Like, very kind, very supportive. And then when talking to me, it was like this. And I'm like, oh, okay, there's been an assumption made here. Cool. And then I explained the whole thing, and she goes, well, considering the nature of the history of your relationship, I'm going to go ahead and dismiss the no contact order. Now, the dismissal of the no contact order did not mean that I had a right to see the child, because at this point there was no parenting plan in place because we were still just married and she took the fuck off. So I then had to try to get her to negotiate with me. So I had to be like, hi, if you're not going to talk to me with the phone, I'm not going to pay for it, because now there's not a court order in place that says that I have to. And lo and behold, then she starts talking to me. And then she proceeds to tell me that she thought that I was going to harm the child, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, so the harming of me and leaving the child alone gave you, right. And then my asking for help and my telling you all of this all along the way, all of this said to you, I'm going to harm the child. It didn't say this is an excuse for me to take the child and run the fuck away so I don't have to deal with you. It didn't say you were hoping to find a body when you showed up so that you wouldn't have to deal with me. And when that didn't happen, you continued the sob story to your girlfriend, and she and her activist ass dragged you off to the courthouse before it was even daylight. No. It's been 4 years, right? Like, it still pisses me off, but like, well, it's not as bad as what my second husband did. So, by all means, because I literally have said out loud more than once, and will right now on the internet, I would rather my second husband have fucking murdered me than did the shit that he did. I would rather be dead. Monster. Anyway. Can we just all imagine if this is the story that I'm willing to tell on the internet? What I'm not. Although we may get there. I don't know. I gotta talk to some people first. So, we go through a lot of rigmarole. We go through supervised visitation that I have to pay an exorbitant amount of money for, which I did. I mean, I was working at the time. Yeah, there was shit that I couldn't get for the other kids. Thanks. But, I did what I had to do. And, hi, hello. Now we're on good terms because my kids are always my priority, man. Like, that's like my entire existence. I might not always be great at it, but I try real hard. It's just unfortunate when people try to prevent you from doing it, especially when those people are awful. And that's not referring to the ex-wife. Yeah. So it was a lot. And I missed her third birthday. Yeah. When I finally got her back, it was so oh my God. But that was the first time that I felt actual physical pain from missing someone. I dealt with my ex when he deployed and that. There was absolutely nothing every single moment away from that child, not knowing whether or not I was going to see her again. Because it's if she's off with her mother now, it's whatever, go have fun with your mom, bro. I'll see you next week. But when her every intention was to take that child away from me, it hurt. And I remember her wanting to delay some shit and wanting to and when I showed up at court, with a letter from my psychiatrist and my psychologist to be hi, hello. I instantly was on this. I was getting treatment when this happened. I asked this woman for help. She reached out to no one. I didn't realize I was going to have to move beyond my wife to ask for help to actually get help. I made the apparently unreasonable assumption that if I told my wife that I was suicidal, that she would do something about it, not just let me die about it. I took that as an endorsement. I literally did. Was it the wrong answer? Yeah, probably. Or maybe it was an endorsement. I don't know. I know that if I thought someone was possibly killing themselves and I didn't want them to be dead at the end, I wouldn't wait 2+ hours to call 911. That's what I know. I called fucking 911 when the second husband didn't show up that one Father's Day, and I was kind of hoping they'd walk in on a body. And I still I was oh shit, man, is he, no shit, might actually be wrong. Maybe someone should do, ugh. And I didn't even like him. Before she left for work that day, I asked her if she could ever be happy with just me. And she said in the weakest fucking tone I have ever heard, maybe. And I also asked her if she was just with me for financial reasons, and she said, kinda, yeah. Kinda, yeah, that's the quote. And then when I was oh my God, I cannot take this, I am not okay, because I felt my entire existence was crumbling around me, and she was just going off to work with her current partner, by the way, who she initially described herself as a mother figure to. An adult, mind you, legally, but couldn't get into a bar at the time, and my ex-wife was on the other half of 35. But whatever. Yeah, they're still together. To be fair, I've always said, I like the partner. I'm worried that, and I said, I'm it's gross, dude. You started off saying you were their mom, and now you're mommy, and I don't like that. It makes me very uncomfortable. I think it's gross. Ew. She was like, well, I don't really care what you think. And I'm like, that's why you hid it from me for so long, because you didn't care. Yeah, because we were poly, and she came home and, like, first was like, I'm a mother figure, and then started to get weird and sound like she was flirty. And I'm like, that's fucking gross, and I'm not okay with that. And I think that was the point that she chose to blow up the fucking marriage, was not for the, like, necessarily the partner that she was shit talking me to. It was this other person at the goddamn job that she wanted to bang, that I was like, ew, that person is young enough that either of us could have parented them. That's kind of gross. Like, that person is closer in age to, like, your oldest kid than to you by a lot. Like, gross. But legally an adult, so, like, this is just my being judgmental. You take it as you want to take it. That person's family is fine with this. Their insta family happening there. They just think it's grand. I don't know, man. Hopefully, this is reasonable. There may be more to add, but I think this is a halfway decent place to wrap up for now. I don't know. I love you. Be safe. Make good choices.